Zola had just started a makeup business. She had recently graduated from the university and decided to pursue a dream career. Although she studied chartered accounting to please her parents, she never wanted to be an accountant. Now, she had the chance to follow her true passion. She named her business Zola's Glam and began working towards attracting customers. She took the business online to reach a wider audience, and with consistency and dedication, people started to notice her impressive videos. Soon, her followers grew and she gained local recognition. She managed to get her own place and even bought a car, which, though modest, was enough for her needs. Life was truly amazing. One day, Azola was going through her online page, responding to customer inquiries. She came across a message from a nice-looking man. His profile picture piqued her curiosity. His text read, "Hey beautiful, how are you doing? Would love to know you." Straight to the point, Zola said to herself. She checked his page and was instantly attracted. He had only 6 pictures on his profile, but they were breathtaking. What caught her attention was his surname, Mr. Alade. The Alade family was well known in the country, and this intrigued her. She replied to his message with, "Hi, nice to meet you." She waited for his response, but he didn't reply immediately, so she went to sleep. The next day, she woke up to a message from him. "Hi, baby girl, would you want us to hang out a bit?" he said. Zola was pleased. She wasn't sure about entering a new relationship, especially after a painful breakup in the university, but she decided to give it a try. After some contemplation, she agreed to meet him. Shola, as he introduced himself, took her to a quiet, cozy place. He booked the whole place so they could have a moment together. Zola was mesmerized with how amazingly brilliant he was with words. As a sapiosexual, she was quite pleased. That day, she went home and couldn't stop thinking about him. After a while, she agreed to be his girlfriend and they started dating. Zola enjoyed her time with him as he always made sure to make her feel comfortable every time. He gave her what she wanted and was always there for her. Zola felt like she was in a dream. Never did she think men could be like this. After her last relationship, she never believed she could meet someone so much better. One day, Shola said something shocking to Zola. "I want us to be intimate," he requested. Zola was taken aback by that. Zola seemed like not the type to request for that, especially since they have only been dating for 3 months now. What? Zola said in between stammers. "I want us to have sex. I know you are a virgin and that makes it so much better. You don't have to worry about anything since you'll be giving it to a man that will cherish it," Shola explained. "But isn't it better we get married first? I believe in sex after marriage. We would have plenty of time for that later," Zola replied. Zola noticed a little bit of anger warm up on Shola's face. He didn't look pleased with that. "We would get married in the future. That is why it doesn't matter now. I'm a man and I can't keep doing this. Look at how sexy and attractive you are. Do you think it's easy for me?" Shola continued to explain. Zola didn't know what to say, so she excused herself and went home. Shola didn't even bother to stop her. After that day, Shola started giving her attitude and Zola became scared. He had been good to her and made her feel special. She didn't want to lose him. Besides, she thought he would eventually marry her. One day, Zola visited Shola, who didn't seem pleased to see her. She told him she was ready to give herself to him, and Shola smiled. They had their intimate moment and their relationship continued. A year into their relationship, Zola playfully asked Shola when he was going to introduce her to his parents. He then threw a fit and said he would bring her to them when the time was right. Zola nodded, not wanting to cause more problems. Their relationship was nearing 2 years, and Shola still behaved like he was not ready to propose. Zola got worried and, during a heated argument, threatened to leave him if he wasn't serious about their future. She was already 28 years old, and her parents kept asking when she was going to get married. You and your boyfriend are both financially stable. What else are you waiting for? Her mother said one day. Zola was speechless. She wanted to get married, but Shola kept stalling. She called Shola that night and told him she would be leaving him for good since he has clearly proven that he was not in love with her. One day, Shola invited her over a date. She didn't want to go, but he pleaded, saying he wanted to discuss serious matters with her. Finally, Zola agreed and they met in a beautiful eatery. The place was empty and she inquired why. Apparently, Shola had booked the whole place because he wanted them to have a moment. This made Zola blush a little. As they were eating and trying to catch up on some things, Zola saw Shola on his knees with a ring in his hands. She was so excited that she screamed, "Yes!" before he even popped the question. She then composed herself and let Shola pop the question before saying, "Yes," again. She went home that day feeling so happy. She couldn't even sleep. She kept thinking of her life with Shola and how nice it would feel to be with him. Zola then took Shola to see her parents and they supported the wedding. She wanted Shola to take her to his parents, but he refused, saying he already told them and they were okay with it. He said there was no need to bother them as they were not usually around. Zola was too excited to make any reason of it. Almost all her friends have gotten married. Now it was her turn and she wanted everybody to know. The marriage took 6 months for Shola to prepare. At this point, Zola was frustrated. What is taking this marriage so long? It's not like it's a big one. You said you wanted a small wedding because you hate noise, yet it is taking ages to prepare. Is it money? I have offered to give enough, but no, you keep pushing it. Zola shouted at Shola during an argument. I'm sorry, babe. It's just that you won't understand. I promise next month everything will be settled. Shola pleaded. I hope so, because I'm already tired as it is. Everyone keeps asking when the wedding is. Even my followers online can't let me have a moment of peace. Some of them are even laughing at me, saying that you won't marry me and I will cry. Don't believe them, Zola. I love you and we will get married, Shola assured Zola. Finally, the day of the wedding came and Zola was the happiest. She was prepared and ready to go. She only had her best friend and one other friend as her bridesmaids since it was not going to be a big wedding. As she was about to go, a man came in and told her things were not ready, that she should wait a little bit. Even her parents were told not to go. Zola started panicking, hoping nothing had happened to Shola because why would they tell her to wait? When she couldn't take it anymore, she told her friends that she wanted to start going. Her parents were confused and she asked them to stay back. Her blood was boiling, her face drenched in frustration. She got to the venue with her friends by her side and was met with the most shocking thing of her life. She saw her fiancée Shola getting married to another girl. She staggered in with her wedding dress, unable to make meaning of what was going on. The guests turned to look at her, equally confused. Some of them were the guests she had invited. They thought it was probably a prank, but seeing Zola's genuine shock, they were stunned. Zola couldn't speak even when she tried. Tears flowed down her eyes and she immediately left the scene. That day, she went home and cried till she couldn't anymore. She had become a laughing stock and everyone pitied her. No one deserved to go through that. Shola didn't even bother to call her to explain why. He just moved on like nothing happened. It was hard for Zola to continue life after that, but her parents and friends were there for her. Eventually, she picked herself up and resumed living her life. She focused solely on her makeup business as she didn't want anything to do with love again. But that was until she met Daniel at a business event. Daniel was the lead project manager at a big company, and that day he spoke so well that it made Zola's heart flutter a little. She had always loved intelligent men. Shola was one, but what happened? She shook her head and brushed off the thought of being in a relationship again. The program ended, and Daniel complimented her on how well she spoke. She tried to avoid him as it had only been a year she ended things with Shola, but Daniel was persistent, and after a lot of advice from her parents and friends, she decided to give him a try. Daniel turned out to be strict compared to Shola, but she loved it. He corrected her excesses and didn't let her get away with everything like Shola did. He wouldn't side her when she was wrong, unlike Shola. Sometimes it felt unromantic to her, but she fell in love with the bossy vibes. And after 6 months, Daniel unexpectedly proposed to her. This was really fast, she thought. She knew how much she had begged Shola to marry her, but here was Daniel proposing without even being told. She said yes, and she took him to see her parents. 2 days to the wedding, Zola asked Daniel to see her. She narrated to him how scared she was. She told him of how her ex embarrassed her on her wedding day, and Daniel promised that would never happen. But how can someone be so wicked? Why wait till the day just to hurt somebody? Daniel asked, really shocked at the revelation. Zola didn't reply. She was fighting the tears that were about to pour. Hey, don't worry, I would never do that to you. Daniel gave her his word. The day of the wedding came and it was successful. It was a lavish and big wedding. Daniel wanted the whole world to see him getting married to the love of his life. They had their honeymoon in the most beautiful place Zola had ever seen, and Zola was finally happy. 13 years later, Zola had a son of 12 years named Korede, and her life had been moving good. Her husband had become the managing director of the company where he worked, and her business had grown to become one of the most sought-out makeup businesses in the country. They had become one of the most affluent people and could afford to put their son in a big school. One day, our son Korede came back home, talking about a particular new girl in his class. He seemed to have a crush on her. Zola told him to forget about her and focus on his studies. He nodded, but he didn't listen. Sometimes she would see him take extra snacks to give to her. She even found a letter he wrote for the girl on Valentine's Day and she smiled. She knew how kids were and she didn't want to think too much of it. Besides, she also crushed on boys back in her days, so she let him be. It was her son's graduation day and Zola dressed quite elegantly to the school. Her husband couldn't make it as he traveled for some business deal. Korede gave a wonderful speech and everyone clapped. Zola felt like the proud mother that she was. Her son then introduced her to the girl he liked. Her name was Abike, and she reminded her so much of someone. She didn't want to believe it until she saw Shola, her ex-fiancé. Zola's heart raced as she set her eyes on the man she had given all her life. Shola offered her a handshake, but she refused and took Korede out of there. When they got back home, she warned Korede to stay away from the girl. I don't want you doing anything with that girl, do you hear me? Zola warned Korede. But why, mother? Korede inquired. Just listen to me, it is for your own good, Zola warned. No, mom, I like her, she is my friend, I won't stay away from her. Korede refused. Out of anger, Zola slapped Korede on the cheeks. It was the first time she would lay her hands on her son, and she instantly felt bad. Korede, with tears in his eyes, ran inside and refused to talk to her. One day, Daniel came with a surprise trip for his family. He was going on a little business trip and wanted to take his family with him. Zola at first refused, but later agreed to go. They traveled to an island country with stunning landscapes and crystal clear waters. The resort, surrounded by lush hills and pristine beaches, was luxurious and elegant. The soothing sound of waves and the swaying palm trees promised an unforgettable experience. The family were enjoying their time, but that was until Zola spotted Shola in a corner, discussing with Daniel about something that seemed like a business venture. Zola's heart immediately skipped, and she could feel her blood boiling. Why didn't Daniel tell me Shola was going to be here? I wouldn't have agreed to come. It's not like he doesn't know who my ex is, Zola thought to herself. When Daniel was done discussing, she confronted him about not telling her that Shola was going to be there. Daniel responded with this. I didn't know he was going to be here, Zola, and our discussions are strictly about business. He is a major investor in the project we are doing now, so we have no choice. Just avoid him and enjoy yourself with Koride, Daniel explained, and Zola nodded. That night, Zola received a text message from no other than Shola. He was requesting to see her to explain what happened and ask for forgiveness. Zola didn't want to go as she was still hurt. The memory of what happened seemed fresh, like it just happened yesterday. This was someone she had planned to live her life with, and he did that to her. After much thinking, she decided to go see him. She was curious to really know what happened and why he would decide to hurt her in such a way. Zola knocked on a room door in the middle of the night and Shola opened. They both stared into each other's eyes, their hearts pounding. Memories of their shared moments flooded their minds. The laughter, the tears, and the quiet, tender times. The world seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in that intense, unforgettable moment. What happened? Explain to me, Zola said, breaking the silence. I'm really sorry, Zola. I never meant to hurt you. It was my parents. They found out about the wedding because of your post online and threatened to take away my inheritance as their only son. I was trapped between my future with my business and my future with you. Arike's father, my wife's father, agreed to invest in our business after our loss, but only if I married his daughter. Arike was in love with me and had wanted to be with me for a long time. My family even threatened to disown me. I didn't know what to do, Zola. Shola explained, his voice filled with pain. Why did you wait until that day? Why did you wait to disgrace me in my wedding gown? Why? Zola continued to inquire. She still didn't understand his reason. I was confused and foolish. I can't explain why, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you. My parents told me not to cancel the wedding, as they would just get me and Arike married on that day to save me the trouble. I know there is nothing I can say to you to make you forgive me, but I really want you to forgive me. Zola felt a mix of uncertainty and peace. She looked at him and she felt drawn to him again. This was her first true love, the person that took her pride, and there was a way it made her feel. Succumbing to the moment, Zola didn't know when she found herself in his arms, each other breaths against the other. The moment took Zola unaware and she let the night play out. 3 days later, after an enjoyable holiday trip, the family went back home. Zola recounted her experience with Shola and she felt a feeling of regret. She hoped she didn't get to see him again. She didn't want anything coming against her beautiful family. But that thing she did would only lead her to more problems. A month later, Zola felt dizzy when she was about to go to work. She immediately went to the hospital to confirm her suspicions. She hoped it wasn't the case, but it turned out that she was pregnant. Now, this got Zola scared. Who was the father of the child? It was definitely Shola, she thought. She had not been able to have a child with Daniel after their first child, Korede, and now that she slept with Shola, this happened. She immediately got scared and panicked. She was unsure if she should abort the baby or keep it. She couldn't do this to Daniel. He has been an amazing father and husband. How could she let this happen? She decided to go see Shola about the matter. They met in a private hotel room. I am pregnant, Shola, Zola said. And so what? What does that have to do with me? Shola replied rather harshly, surprising Zola. What do you mean by that? Don't you remember that night? That's impossible. Arike and I haven't had a child since our first. They said the issue is with me, and Arike has been coping with me. Shola explained, his voice heavy with frustration and sadness. What if that is not the case? I am pregnant, Shola, and the child is yours. You know that. My husband and I have not also been able to have a child. We have tested several times, but they said nothing is wrong with us. Maybe the fault is from him. I won't father another child outside my marriage. I could lose my inheritance. Abort the baby, Shola said to Zola's surprise. What do you think? Do you think Zola will abort the child? Stay tuned for the next part. Thanks for watching.